doing a lot of heavy lifting in that department as well.
Yep. Thankfully, we had like a former Challenger player who you absolutely loved, and now a former Sandbox player. Like, how much better can we get as far as recruiting you? But we've got some trees being banned. We've got some rumbles being banned as we jump into the draft here for game number 1. We'll see whether Breon are angling for a dragon themselves, because Ivern has been an option. The Lucian banned away from BDD has been very, very good. That makes me feel like it might be a little bit more Corki first pick territory. And KT, they're going to ban the Sejuani. Will they be banning Ezreal? Or does Deft just feel like Envy isn't good enough?
I was about to say what might happen is if the Ashe isn't banned, they give Ezreal and then they go Ashe Shyvana.
Oh, God.
That's what I think the angle for KT is.
Well, there's a Leona ban.
So maybe Breon wants to first pick. Okay, you can't first pick Corki. Even with the Leona banned, like, you can't. I mean, I think you definitely let them have either Ashe or Ezreal, and then you just pick the other one. I think KT are a lot more flexible in that regard, because I think their bot lane has been a lot better in terms of form. They are gonna just ban the Corki, and yeah, I
think it's fine.
What I was saying, leaning into that trade. So I think
first pick Renekton?
It should be Ezreal.
Renekton. It's gotta be Renekton. There it is. Lock it in. Gorgeous. The Lord gets his champ. This is obviously the best choice that they could have made, right, Chronicler?
Anyway, let's see what KT looks like. Ezreal is going to go the way of Deft.
Do they just lock Ezreal Ashe? That would be so cute, and then just give Ezreal to BDD.
Yeah, I wouldn't even hate that. I don't think Ezreal mid's that good, but I also don't think it's necessarily bad. And
By the way, I just want everyone to know that I was being sarcastic. Locking Renekton there was a terrible decision in any metric ever. It's just not good. And Pioshik's obviously going to play this. His last, like, 20 champions have been Shyvana and solo queue. He's hovering the Lee Sin, though. Definitely one of his better performers. And instead, they are just going to opt into a Shuriman matchup on the top side. That Ashe that you were talking about is certainly a possibility. I think that they would have really liked to have picked Leona alongside it. But that's not going to be a possibility because they banned it. So we can probably lock away the Ashe. And what is going to be the third pick on the blue side here for OK Saving Spank Breon?
Looking maybe towards Zyra? Alternatively, locking in the mid laner here is an opportunity as well. I think Zyra and Renekton is a combination that is quite strong. I don't expect it to be something like the Nidalee. It's just going to be the Braum blind, which there are players into which you can do this. Barrel is not one of those players.
No.
I don't know if they're going to slam the karma here, but I don't think it matters. I think you can just wait. That would be... I really figured that KT was going to lean into it more. I feel like they can just wait with picking this until the second rotation.
Yeah, I do think that this is them angling for more of a Shyvana option. Because if they had picked Karma, that would have been 0 engage at all, and would have meant that picking Shyvana gets more difficult.
You can feel it.
Yeah, I can feel it. It's like, unless it's banned by Breon here, there is no doubt in my mind that Pioshik is just going to straight up pick Shyvana.
Oh, yeah, no, the bans as well. It's going to be like, oh, it's going to be
Zyra Nidalee?
Zyra Nidalee.
Oh, okay. wait. Youngjae wants it too?
Oh, he's not getting it. It's getting R forward.
It's getting R forward real.
To be fair, Pioshik, I think, is also our best Ivern, and I feel like the only guy that actually knows how to play the champion.
Yeah, he's pretty good at it, yeah.
So...
Lilia?
Yeah, okay, no, it's Shyvana.
Yeah.
It's definitely happening.
I mean, bro, now, are they going to cut their losses and just ban it?
I just want to see someone play it well. I think the Space Oaks yesterday did a really good breakdown of why this pick can be good.
Yeah.
And also then we keep seeing in games that players don't really seem to understand how that then in practice turns out. And right now, I think the KT composition looks very strong. You have the best AD carry on the patch. I think Ashe is really good. Ashe Braum is a very impressive player.
God. Okay. Well, it's Trist. So, I mean, it's Shyvana, right?
Especially with all these bans.
Yeah.
I find it hard to see. And then Youngjae might end up going for...
Oh, it's Lee Sin. Never mind.
Oh, okay. Well, disaster averted in that regard.
Yeah.
Also think it isn't really a possibility to pick the Shyvana into it. Lee does really bully you in terms of early game presence, in terms of 1v1.
Saw a decent example of that yesterday. Raptor having quite a game on the Lee Sin.
Man, the Raptor renaissance has been so great to see.
It has.
And that's coming from, you know, some pretty big Free Willy fans. At the beginning of the splitters, we do have LeBlanc. It'll be like LeBlanc Zinzao, maybe?
I wouldn't mind Zin. Certainly fits the OK Savings Bank Breon playstyle.
Also takes it away from BDD, because Lee LeBlanc obviously is a really strong 2v2.
Yeah.
Might see BDD go towards like... Viego makes sense as well. Towards like what? Like the Ari? And oh, the DK Classic?
And that's a pretty decent one too as well. Gold card into oh wow, okay, this would be going real far back. Lissandra, we just haven't really seen much of her recently, but it is a fun champion. Some follow-ups there.
Oh.
And we're talking about hovers when BDD was obviously going to play Orianna.
Oh.
We all knew this. And he played really well in it last time around. This is something that a lot of teams have been aware of. For BDD, we heard coaches talking about it actually. And knowing that the Orianna is coming and just not being able to do enough to stop it from winning.
That said, KT's comp, I don't love the mid jungle 2v2. I feel like that one is a little bit iffy. I do think the Lee was kind of a combination pick away / deterrent, so that they couldn't pick a jungler that had too many scaling potential.
You know that this is a perfect draft for KT. Do you know what they've recognized? Ezreal is completely overpowered. Get another champion that can give Ezreal more power, like shields, movement speed.
Well, it's also, as I was gonna say, like it's a perfect team for composition. You have great engage, you have great front line, you have really good ball delivery systems, multiple of them, and a lot of Breon games will just naturally boil down to 5v5s, and then for Breon, I think the 5v5 is fine, but not having engage outside of Ash Arrow is just always gonna feel rough. And I think if the mid jungle 2v2 doesn't get going early, and if you don't somehow free up that Braum and go for either early invades or like some really strong mid-game plays, if Viego and LeBlanc don't get ahead in this composition, if Breon doesn't get ahead in the early game, this comp doesn't do a whole lot. And given how Breon usually play, I'm a bit of a skeptic, Atlas.
Yeah, I mean, they have been able to navigate early games. It's just not allowing it to fall apart completely in the mid-game that Bro have struggled with. So we're expecting a few minutes of fun for the Bro fans. Let's jump into the ring. All right, KT and Bro fans in full voice here today as we are ready to see whether Bro are unshackled or whether KT are going to continue the winning streak, coming off a big one over Humble Life Esports earlier on this week. As Beryl's going to face check and take Battle Dance first, which doesn't feel phenomenal. But the Winter's Bite concussive blow is not going to get stacked up. And Beryl actually going to tank another one. The Braum level 1. Pretty strong, as it turns out.
Yeah, I could have known. They're not done yet. They're not out yet. This is actually exactly what I was saying earlier. A very aggressive level 1 is a way in which Breon can get a lot of early momentum going. I do think that Deft and Beryl, maybe they can get some poke in. Deft in particular, obviously Beryl doesn't have his Quail, as you pointed out. Has his Battle Dance. Might be looking like some mild vertical jungling here, at least for the start. And yeah, they know. They are very aware that this is happening. The question becomes, how much does it matter? Because I think Deft and Beryl should be able to... Can they contest the wave? I think Ezreal is one of the champions that is actually able, as they don't fight level 1 against Ash Braum.
They are just trying to get to this wave. I think they might be able to get in range of these melees.
Oh, well, that helps.
Yeah, they do manage to do that. Winter's Bite goes wide, as you say. Means that they get to approach.
I really think Envy and Palu had to play that more aggressive. I think level 1 in an extended trade, like with PTA procced and with the Braum passive, you have so much damage available. And if you play vertical jungling, you really want to try and get as much wave control as you can get to crash a really big wave when Beryl and Deft are level 1. Again, Beryl only has Battle Dance. He doesn't have his W, he doesn't have the heal.
Yep.
So right now that is looking like it's going, but I think they'll just get the crash, and that'll be the end of it. I don't think there's any dive opportunity really presenting itself here. It's a bit of a missed opportunity for Brion. Could have been a great angle.
Level 2 now hit for KT, meaning that Beryl does have access to the Quill or to the Grand Entrance, depending on what he would like. May not have actually skilled it
I think
just
he
yet.
Quilled, yeah, at the beginning of that.
Oh, he did. Okay, never mind.
Which is good. I don't think you need your Grand Entrance, because again, dive isn't really looking to be happening. Could have been an angle, but not going to be the case.
Nice chain going to connect there, as Pyosik, thinking about an angle here, does find 25 gold within the fake LeBlanc. And BDD actually kind of happy with how that trade went. It looked really dicey because a whole bunch of the buttons were being landed by Fate here. But now we've turned off the information, and in comes Pyosik. He was sticking around. That does mean that Flash has been burned by BDD already in this lane, and we know that Orianna can be susceptible to some early ganks without that Flash.
It's actually a really big win because, so they spotted Pyosik. Fate played that really well. Spotted Pyosik with his clone, which meant that Morgan knew that he could freely crash the wave in top, because the one thing you need to be careful about as a Renekton, if you're being split, or you're playing on a split map rather, is that you don't get ganked when the wave is crashed. So the Pyosik, Morgan knows he can crash his wave, keep playing aggressive, and then they try to set up a play to try and like extend BDD, or use BDD as an extender for the lead kick, but then not a whole lot happens. And instead, it's just a small win for Brion. Not enough, but it's good to see anyway. That mid-jungle 2v2 definitely should go their way, especially pre-6.
Oh yeah. Feeling pretty happy about it. And this is Bro navigating an early game kind of okay. And it has been something they've been good at. They feel well drilled, you know, when it comes to early game plans, as Beryl is going to find himself in an awkward spot, stacking up the Winter's Bite here. The concussive blows do come on down, but Envy just going to get flashed on. The barrier comes in. It is going to be a 1-for-1. Both supports picking up some money. Polo getting the first blood, though. Pretty high value, I guess.
It's very telling to me that Deft is so insanely confident on the Ezreal that Envy is running barrier into cleanse, and he still is like, nope, when they're all in. They don't, but honestly, that's still kind of insane. I think Deft, if he uses the cleanse there, like maybe that could have been enough. Actually takes the full stun, and an auto extra could have been the difference maker between him at least getting the kill. Now it ends up being the Ignite that takes it, so both supports get a kill.
Yeah, I feel like cleansing the stun could have been a decent idea there.
Yeah, definitely.
Deft has been one of the players that really just doesn't like using summoner spells unless he absolutely has to. And I feel like at that point, I mean, what else are you going to use the cleanse for? Let's be real.
It'll be up by level 6 anyway, right? That's the main thing. Obviously, you do want it available at that point, but yeah, I don't think that is the end of the run. Pyosik is hovering around mid, which again means Morgan happy to play aggressive. Does need to be a little bit respectful here.
Yeah, the minion wave is actually just going to move away. Oh, never mind.
Nice.
Perfect. Not quite able to get it completely out of range. That's what he was kind of aiming for, so that the walk past the turret was going to be a bit painful.
An early dragon?
I mean, this is the bro activity that we're getting used to, all right?
Well,
the bros,
used to it.
Yeah, they're proactive for the first 10 minutes, and then they get confused about what to do on the Rift. But the first 10 minutes, oh, they're nailing it. And you can see that's continuing. 200 gold lead. There's now Morgan moving in. Going to be able to deny at least a full take of all of these grubs. Yeah, Young Jay moving up. And there's going to be one secured by Pyosik, but not anymore. And teleport back from Perfect. He wasn't there to actually contest this, and so that is going to be Young Jay locking down the remaining two. Continuing to pick up wins, as we now have a heal being blown towards the bottom side. Grand Entrance is going to stop Polo from being able to do too much more, but that is a lot of investment into this 2v2, as now Deft taking a fair bit of damage. Polo is going to be the focus here, as Envy is stacking this one up. Deft getting taken down solo. Next couple of autos are going to do it as the heal comes in, but it's not enough. And that is Envy and Polo picking up a kill in the 2v2.
It's the payoff of the earlier play. Def doesn't have his flash. They are very aware of this. And I love the confidence from Paulo to just go in there with the heal, right?
Yeah, just press heal and go.
Didn't even have the ultimate, didn't have the barrier time. He definitely took a bit of a risk with that one, because this is just a pure all-in. And it doesn't even really go the way that they want to, right? This first Winter Spike doesn't actually hit. And here, Beryl slows up the initial engage. Then Paulo, I think, tried to get the flash Q onto Deft, but doesn't. It actually hits Beryl, so he still needs to get Oldo. And they still win. This is what I was saying earlier. That 2v2, Braum Ashe, insanely strong.
Oh, yeah.
In the extended trade, and we see it there. And nothing to be done there for KT. Killed this time also going over to Envy. And Braum playing out this early game really, really well. This alone, again, not enough. They're going to have to keep stacking these dragons, and they're going to have to keep playing on the front foot, because this is effectively a pick comp, right? You see one target, and once you've set up position, you've taken away vision. Composition is insanely strong. If you ever lose control, though, it gets very, very tough. So the main thing now for Brienne is to try and maintain this, and I think the main thing for me would be to further build upon this gold lead. So dragons are okay, but like kills and grubs and plates, I think, are a much bigger deal, and I hope that they'll keep playing for those.
Yeah, map control is also paramount for these pick compositions, but they do snowball very effectively. Oh, right? Yeah. So I think if there's any composition that can utilize an early lead, even if it is a bit slight like this, it is going to be a pick composition. As now Youngjae going to be spotted on this ward that Pioshik has just put down. And they do get full information, so doubling down on a one lane feels like a good idea here. As now BDD taking a lot of damage. The electrocute coming on through there as the Mimic Distortion does come down. Shockwave does 0. Not sure what that was about there, BDD, but just wanted to make sure that he uses all of his buttons, gets things on cooldown, gets them cycling through. You love to see it.
He's clearly sending a message.
Oh, yeah.
What I imagine he tried to like predict a jump in back from Fate.
Yeah.
But definitely completely whiffed, unfortunately, there for BDD, because one of the big things with this jungle 2v2 is that it's heavily favored for Youngjae and Fate, because LeBlanc is continuously poking, and then once Youngjae comes in, every single chain can be enough, and set up a W, and there's obviously a lot of burst. Whereas for Pioshik and BDD, you're kind of reliant on finding a combination of kick and the ultimate from BDD, because there's so many ways for Youngjae and Fate to try and get out of that guaranteed damage from the Orianna. So not having that ultimate, I think, makes the 2v2 considerably weaker, and you do see Brion keeping this pressure. The problem is, though, and this is something that just boils down to good last hitting, Envy is a decent amount behind, and I think that getting that lead on that Ashe to be as big as possible is really important, because for Deft, yeah, he's 0-2 now, but we know what Ezreal is able to do. Regardless of what state he is in earlier, as soon as he hit his 2-item power spike. Oh boy.
Yeah, Pioshik on a big rotation. Flash is available, but there is the quickness in. True Shot Barrage comes down as Envy is just going to get kicked away. And that Glacial Fissure did not help out at all. Deft is gifted the kill, and KT back in control bottom lane.
Very nicely done there by Pioshik. Really good window found. Circumvents the wards in the river, gets over the wall. And even with double investment of the summoners, Envy ends up going down. As Youngjae, yeah, should be looking for a punish opportunity here. At the very least, they're going to zone Perfect away. Fate's on his way as well. Oh, Perfect.
Yeah, I think Perfect is
staying.
He is at least flashing, but is he going to just accept his fate? That is the question, and the answer is yes. Just realizing they're not going to be able to get too much done here as Envy moving on over to try and clear out at least these minions under the turret mid lane. BDD gets a plate for the trade of top laner. And Perfect just getting that top laner experience. Doesn't really like it, but it's just that's just how it works playing this lane at this stage of the meta. You know, it's just how it works.
Perfect also knows, and I think Perfect has been one of our.
Feral?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yes,
one of our shockingly consistent players at bouncing back after a rough lane, which for a rookie is quite rare. As Pioshik sees one person's like, oh, for me, and then sees two more. It's like, no, I'll dip.
Sounds like a good idea too. Is Beryl is going to face the wrath of a Ocean Drake that has just spawned. BDD down to 50%. Still farming very well. Has his Lost Chapter now completed, and he's just kind of chilling, but not winning as far as health trades are concerned with this LeBlanc.
Yeah, that's the main thing for me with KT right now, is they are taking a beating, but like you picked Cassante into the next, and you knew it was going to happen. I think Orianna in like the first couple of levels does well, but obviously it's not like you picked the Orianna to
crush the 1v1.
To crush the 1v1. That's just never going to be the case. It's going to come down to the team fights. I really like the denial of the grubs here. I don't know if it's actually going to work, though, as Fane and Morgan doing a really good job at denying access to the area, and Mauer Drake is taking a Youngjae's on his way.
Yep. Goshik is going to come back in. BDD gets over the wall, and it's a Hextech Drake. So these Hextech gates are going to be pretty dangerous here as Polo moves in.
That's going to be 4 if Yoshi can't find the smite, and we're going to be having a test.
Deft is closer than Envy, though. He does have access to the arrow. Let's see whether that is going to be utilized, whether that's going to land. 3 for 3 would be okay, but it looks like Youngjae does have control unless KT can pressure them away. Smite is up here from Goshik if he can get in. That is going to be secured by KT. The arrow is going to be soaked by Beryl, but he's just going to explode. That's a kill. Going over to Morgan is now Polo is going to get kidnapped, and now Morgan in as well. But Culver Meek is so valuable, and Pyoshik is trying to get out. It's just not going to work because now it is Viego's version of Cassante chasing them down, and this is what a pick comp does. It just chases you to the end of the earth. And that is Youngjae really having a phenomenal team fight.
Impeccably played by Brion.
Yeah.
That is textbook how to play out this type of composition. So starts off, Smite, very unfortunate for Youngjae, just underestimates his damage. But then the Rakan gets blown up within the first rotation. Grom tanks a lot of damage, and then here it looks like KT might get the turn. Good kick, but it doesn't hit any of the damage dealers. Morgan stays alive, and I think that trying to contest this as KT, at this point when you are pre a couple of your big spikes into a composition that is so good at like this level, like Morgan was, what, I think level 10, like around level 9, 10. These are such strong mid-game champions on the side of Brion. And KT just tried to front to back their way out of it. It just wasn't really going to work. You need a really big BDD combo.
Yeah.
You need Beryl not to get blown up in the first couple of seconds and actually be able to create a lot of chaos. And at the, there's bounties. Yeah, that's what we're looking at right now.
It's a 4,000 gold lead. Bro are really, really far ahead.
This would be big, though. If they kill Morgan...
Yeah, he'll miss out on the wave as well. And so Morgan is pretty tanky. I wish it goes in, but Arrow not going to really do too much. Just going to be soaked. As now, speaking of soaked, oh dear. Perfect going to be in a little bit of trouble. Does mitigate a bunch of the CC, but he's not going to be able to mitigate death. That is going to be Fate locking that one down. And that's an inner turret in trade. And yeah, they managed to get some bounty gold, but that is not going to stop this from being a massive win for Bro.
That's Xena going down. It's a kill getting picked up as well. And KT making the misread there perfect. I think a rough one. As I was saying earlier, I think he had been, in the last couple of weeks, shockingly consistent at finding exactly these type of game states and making the most out of it, right? Like trading back or just abandoning before something would go wrong. As we're taking a look, they're fed. He's just a Cassante who's 0-2 at this point, so obviously never really going to be able. It's so easy to juggle aggro here as well, and they never really need to, right? It's just Polu taking it, but you have a LeBlanc, you have a Viego, so Brion continue to extend the lead in this mid lane turret. Once that falls, like Brion are going to run the map, and all they need to avoid now is the one thing that many Bro fans will, you know, will kind of cry in agony over. It's the dreaded like 20 to 35 minute win.
Yeah, it's the closing it out.
It's the lull that they need to avoid. As long as they avoid that, they're doing wonderful. Like, this is great. This is proactive gameplay, playing to your strengths. Just get this mid lane turret, keep choking out that vision, and don't allow KT way back into this game.
Yep. And keep being as aggressive as you possibly can. That's been certainly what's been getting them a lot of value. And they also have a couple of dragons. And so in 45 seconds time, that Hextech Drake could give them Soul Point. That's a very high value Drake. Really actually probably the perfect option for Bro in this game. Try and continue playing aggressive, playing this one out. As turret shot actually picked up by Fate there as he was going aggressive, but that's not going to be too much of a worry here for the LeBlanc. As the entire outer ring yet to fall, but this mid lane outer is very, very close, and that Rift Herald should be able to help take that one down. That transitions beautifully into this Dragon in 10 seconds, and Bro are just not letting up the gas. This is beautifully done so far. Orianna moving down. BDD is going to be here for this battle, but this is so much extra money for Bro. I don't know how KT could possibly find a team fight in this one.
They're not. They're just saying we're not going to try. BDD is just TPing towards the top half of the map, which I think is the right call. Brion, get the mid lane turret. Like mid lane turret falling. You know, with the LeBlanc, always going to feel absolutely incredible.
Oh yeah.
Rakan, as good as he is, can definitely struggle a little bit in these type of face check scenarios, as we do have the arrow to come through.
Yep, absorbed by Beryl, as it could have hit on the BDD. It might have been Fate with the ability to maybe lock something down, but not looking like the case. So, 6,000 gold is the lead. 3 dragons to 0. We're even on grubs, but that is 4 turrets that Bro have. The amount of map control that this LeBlanc Diego composition has, man. And I think all the setup needs to be, this is just Bro straight up winning. There should be no way that they lose this game. They have managed to figure out ways to do so in the past.
That's you can, if you're listening, you can sense our hesitation.
Oh yeah.
We've been in this position before. It's not just with Brion, but with many A teams. BNK very recently got a couple of great leads, and then you know.
Yeah.
You know that.
I mean, BNK not a very good example recently, just because they have been very consistently good.
Yeah, but against Gen G, I mean, the fact that we kind of knew, you know, that Gen G just needed the one out to fight their way back in that one. And I think Brion right now, all they need to avoid are 2 things. Don't flip Nash under any circumstances.
Yep.
And don't do nothing. Really, outside of those, I think everything's... you can push aggressively towards the side lanes. Keep farming the enemy jungle, because they shouldn't really be able to walk off. Avoid choke points is the one thing that I'd be a little bit worried about. I think the way you can still lose a team fight from this big of an advantage is specifically if, like, Envy and Fate both get hit and get 100 to 0'd in the span of 1 or a couple, but BDD just isn't that strong.
All right, arrow going to be flashed there by BDD. They do have a fair bit of playmaking on the side of KT. Like, if they do get all of their ducks in a row, can be something that our Bro does need to be hesitant about. They're not going to be winning any trades just straight up if KT aren't able to hoodwink them. And so Bro now just bide their time for another 3 minutes until this dragon comes up, and then you're unstoppable. Then it's impossible for you to lose, I think. With a Hextech Soul and an Ashe, oh man, it is so incredibly tough. That's 2 items now completed for Fate as well. He is moving towards, I mean, he might even finish the Magi's Soul Stealer. 7 stacks on the Dark Seal in his back pocket. Feels like the kind of game for it here. That sort of confidence play that you'd love to see. 7,000 gold the lead here as Polo has found Pyosik. He is going to be able to take his Gromp though. He's had to battle for every camp, as we've seen. And Youngjae has just been the king of the jungle so far this game.
Ever since that Herald skirmish, it's a very easy one for KT to look back into as well, right? Because everything went wrong there. You got a 3rd Scuttle or a 3rd Grub, which is very much whatever.
Yep.
You deny the 4th, obviously, but might have not been worth it. Yeah, look at these gold leads. The 2-item spikes are being hit across the board for Brion, and for KT, they're just not. I know Deft has hit it just now, so he will be strong, but outside of that, they will be working off some pretty severe item deficits, and they are going to have 100% fight in 1 minute and 40 seconds. There is a scenario where, like, maybe Brion go in too aggressively when they head towards the dragon, and then you can, like, sneak a Nash, but then still you're trading Nash for Hextech Soul, and it's Hextech Soul with a LeBlanc and an Ashe on the enemy team. And like, obviously, even Youngjae uses the ability ace and the attack speed well, but particularly the ease of application is kind of insane. So I find it hard to find angles, barring Brion really making some colossal mistakes, because it's not even like it's, you know, it's like one Zeri that's super fed, and if you Pyosik kicks her into the... There are 4 carries on the enemy team.
And they're all mega fed.
They're all fed.
It's kind of ridiculous. So Deft goes back, grabs some Lucidity boots. I don't know whether that's going to be a difference maker here, because you've got almost 3 items done for Morgan.
It's going to have to be.
Fate hasn't been back in a really long time. It's 45 seconds now. And KT, you have to fight. You can't give this one up. Because if you do, then it is just waiting for the game to be over.
They might still decide to. And as I said, there is a good amount of vision in the topside jungle. So it's not like Brion isn't going to know.
Well,
feels
some
like
vision is being put down here as Fate gets over the wall. Shane's going to connect onto Perfect here as Pyosik comes on through. BDD and Def now joining up with their team. And Beryl can play the front line somewhat. You know, he's pretty maneuverable, but Pyosik getting on in there. There's a safeguard out. I don't know about that one because he now has to just walk, running out of buttons. Teleport comes in from Perfect. His health bar is back up once again, but the arrow going to connect onto the Cassante. He eats that CC, so that is arrow now down for not much of a response. And Def needs to hit a few of these Qs. Does manage to get himself out, but my God, the burst damage is ridiculous. And KT, they do manage to at least get into a position to maybe challenge. But that is about it. That's the end of the Hopium. And now Fate comes on forward. Beryl looks for the quickness. Onto the LeBlanc. She takes so much damage. Pyosik tries to find her. The kick doesn't get it. And now Fate is able to teleport his way back into this fight once again. BDD over to the side. Will he be able to find a shockwave angle? That's the question. As Perfect is tanking so much in this fight. But there goes Pyosik. That is going to be the Dragon going over to Bro, and Fate has teleported in. And he is named effectively because Bro's fate is to win as soon as they have no hope of playoffs.
Oh, we knew going into the day, Atlas.
Oh, yes.
It was so obvious. And if you come in, you're a KT fan, like, God, these guys are so superstitious. Like, what is this? Why are they talking? KT just beat Hanwha. Hanwha is an incredible... Yes, we know. And then Brion comes in. So much burst here, goes into Fate, so he's effectively taken out of the fight right from the get-go. But the golds, the wallets are so heavy here. The poke from KT just doesn't land the same way. And then the moment that Morgan shows up, KT, you see, like, they need to retreat because otherwise the Crocodile's going to ace them. But they can't retreat. Like, Perfect, Pyosik are stuck on the other side of the wall. Fate, throughout all of that, just back in with the plethora of vision that they have available. That's Hextech Soul and Brion. They're about to win this game, Atlas.
They absolutely are. Baron has been now secured. They can take some gates if they want a shortcut as well. And yes, KT's base is still standing. That's not for very much longer as it's a 10,000 gold lead, Hextech Soul in hand. The amount of, like, I don't know, these champions as well with these leads that they have, like Def just gets cued from Young Jay and he's just basically dead. Yeah, Poly's going to take a little bit of damage, but that doesn't matter. He is Brom. Pyosik, I think, managed to get a camp. That was nice. On that top side, he's going to have to come back and try and play some triage, though, for these turrets. As Fate goes in, Perfect is just trying to avoid whatever he can.
Oh, look at that. That's not fun.
No, it's not.
That's slow. The electricity. It's obnoxious, Atlas.
It is. And this is unfettered Bro. This is Bro without a care in the world.
I didn't want to believe. Oh, how wrong I was.
Well, this is one of those things. Once you've seen it a few times, it becomes less about superstition and more about it's just what happens. It's just one of those observable things that we see. We may not necessarily be able to explain, but it just happens, and we just have to accept it.
Science can't explain it.
Yeah, sometimes we just don't have enough to really explain it, but we know that it's a thing. And that's just how it goes. We don't have computers that can work it out yet, but that we know that there's a reason. Coincidence? I think not. And Bro, they don't think so either. They're looking to try and get this push happening towards the bottom side. Morgan, full health. Fate coming on over. That is going to be base broken in the mid lane. Not actually pushing too hard, Bro, but they're just getting what they can with the movements that they have available to them. And it's working out very nicely so far. Perfect. I don't think it's going to be able to defend this wave. So that should be the inhibitor turret in the bottom lane falling down. And KT not wanting to lose this without a fight, but I just don't think it's a fight that they can win, as Arrow is going to connect. It's soaked by Perfect. He's probably the right target to soak it, but now they're just closing in onto KT. Deft has gone back. He's picked up maybe an item or two, but that's still inhibitor down in mid, inhibitor down in bot, and Bro will just slink away.
They're playing it out so clean.
Yeah.
Only you could say, you know, maybe you want to do a triple lane push, but I don't fault them. I think triple lane is obviously better when it works, but Brayon as a team is currently 1-12, so going for the very safe route where you just have one person flexing in between the two lanes. Fate, obviously the best target for that because he's really hard to pin down. Because, like, also look at who pins down Fate. It's like Beryl with his ultimate. Like, that's pretty much it. It is really hard. There's nothing like Maokai.
And if he does that as well, then you can't get the quickness in that AoE fashion that we see Rakan's utilize it in.
That you need, right? Yeah. So like it's completely besides the point. Oh, Fate, you got to turn it into a Magi's, man. You got to do it for the bro leavers out there.
And it won't get any more stacks like this.
It's textbook.
Yeah,
it's just
beautiful.
textbook. Now you all run into the same lane. Yeah, keep the Renekton there. If you try to collapse on Morgan, he has Sterix.
He can also collapse
level 17, Atlas.
He is a very big boy. And the fact that he's got so much damage as well in this build. Like,
he levels up on everyone on KT.
And Deft is like dashing forward. Arrow's going to be soaked here by Beryl. Probably the best option there, but Deft is down to 50%. I think almost incidentally. And KT, I think it's just preparation for the end. I think they need to be planning for game 2 and what they're going to be changing up against Bro here. Because this wasn't it. I thought as soon as they got Ezreal that it was going to be all over, but Morgan getting Renekton, who knew? First pick Renekton, that was going to be the way. I think we all knew that it was going to happen. Whether it was going to be a good thing, that was the question mark.
There you go. That's
why did we doubt?
About. Well, it's Fate coming in, revitalizing its Envy back after not being the starter last time around. All we need now is Morgan flashing his own emote as the Nexus falls.
Oh, that's what we need. And the shaky hands. That would be just so perfect, so poignant.
And this is only game 1. Yeah. But I don't care. We're celebrating it.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. Remember, it needs to be a KT 1-2 loss for them to get back to equilibrium, which is where we know they want to be. So even if, like, if they win game 2, then they lose side selection moving into game 3. And Bro, they can move back to the blue side and draft as beautifully as they have here.
and B1 Renekton again.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know we don't like results-based analysis, but what we really do like is the other thing that Orcs came up with. What was that one? Outcome-focused assessment. We love outcome-focused assessment. And Renekton, first pick, won. So I'm going to say that it's really, really good. Well, it hasn't won yet. Let's see whether this team fight, anything miraculous is going to happen. That kick was beautiful. That might be the start of it as Envy is going down low. He will be traded for Pyosik in here, but it's Fate with a lot of damage still and some very heavy wallets. There's the Heartbreaker forward. Deft is flashing away from Young Jay, but he's not going to be able to get anywhere because Morgan comes in and cuts down his former AD carry. That's going to be the end of the game, and Bro Leavers rise up. You might be out of playoff contention, but you can still blue shell these teams that are still in the running. Nexus goes down, and Bros, obviously, take game 1.
Brayon with a draft that you look and go, okay, you know, I can see there's a lot of strong picks, there's great synergies. If you play this proactively, if you play this well, it can work. And then you look at a team like, oh man, I just don't have the faith. I don't know if it's gonna happen. I don't think, and then they just do it. They do every single thing we talked about.
Yep.
They freed up, they won the bot lane, right, with that Ash Braum. They then freed up the Braum, roamed around the map. Mid-jungle 2v2,
gorgeous.
They were smashing. Forcing early flashes, and Morgan, with the B1 Renekton, got to play a completely solo, unbothered lane. He got like a gank once, you know, from some help, and then after that point, didn't need anything. And KT, oh, they're gonna go back to the Herald fight a million times, because that was where it felt like the game was done.
Yep, it certainly was. And you can see this is a very exuberant Bro trying to work out what they're going to do as they tackle game 2 on the red side, assumedly. unless KT decide that they want to stay there. Having a look at the damage numbers, we know that, Deft was always going to do the most on his team, but it wasn't actually impactful, right? It wasn't actually able to change the fate of this game. And maybe KT are going to look back at certain points of this draft and think that things are a problem, but honestly, it was just Bro outplaying them.
I want 5 POG. I want everyone on Breon to get
everyone deserves it. Everyone deserves it. Get them all out here, and we can have a conversation with all of them after this series. Let's go to a short break. When we get back, it is game number 2 in the space. See you there.
거야. 너네 줘. 마구 포킹해. 주먹에서 던질게 이거. 야 리리. 빨리 좀 빨리 좀 앞에. 리리. 이게만 이게. 무стан이겨. 앉아. 끝내. 이제 정어 없어. 맞아. 앞으로 와. 이 잡을게. 앞으로. 야 이명사도. 잡아. 아 이겼다. 야이 팩끝들아. 야 얘들아 근데 진짜. 미친 것 같아 그냥. 안전해. 야 괜찮아. 다음번 더 해보자 얘들아. 아직 안 끝났어.
Live esports. And it's weird.
I want to be very upfront about this. Part of that Humble Life loss was also the fact that they picked Shyvana twice and Peanut looked very bad on it. And we can acknowledge that. But it's also KT played well. You don't win against Hanwha just because they pick one bad champion. Like KT played well. They were a cohesive team. They were doing all the right things. They were not cutting corners left and right. And I imagine in this game, it's going to be the same. And look at that.
I like the LeBlanc band.
Fact being paid to fade a rye grain on his face and earned after that first performance. Because I do think that when we got to the team fights, I agree with the space. I think it was very much a team effort. But I think just the laning phase alone, Fate actually did what he needed to. And so how do you feel about game number 3, Atlas?
I mean,
because we shouldn't overreact, especially not after what we saw last time around. But I do really feel like Rumble is a little bit silly.
Yeah, bro, we're doing some drafting today.
So you're getting what do you?
Renekton Ezreal, baby. That's what we do.
And then you just go.
I'm writing it in.
You go Hex Drinker first, and then pray.
Yeah.
Morgan gets it done.
He does.
And what actually is going to happen is he's going to pick Cannon, and they're going to go Cannon Ezreal on 1-2. Although he can pick Cannon on
I've already written in Renekton Ezreal though.
Well, you can try and deal with that how you want to.
Well, it's the wrong order, so I've messed that up.
That's fine.
I assume they're going to think for a bit, and then Morgan's like, give me the croc.
Nah, I'd win. Doesn't matter. That is.
Oh, that's a Maokai. So I'm gonna have to adjust. I'm gonna have to adjust a little bit here. Is that going to be enough to push Pyosik over the edge into Dragonland? It's not.
No,
because we can just play Vitalia, and and then if KT loses, I'm gonna lose my mind. Because this is a very, very powerful 2-3 on the blue side. If it is going to be the Taliyah that they do lock away, this is something that's been banned away from BDD relatively consistently from other teams as well. He has been playing very well on the champion. So unless they want to take an AD carry for Deft, which could be a thing, they are going to do that instead. I would have personally just liked for them to lock away their top side, but Kai'Sa is a response to Ezreal that we have seen in the past.
And I do think that back in the day, it used to be as soon as you hit 6, you basically are a really, really tough thing to deal with for the Ezreal, because if you ever hit a W, you win the all-in. I think right now you don't. You don't win the all-in, but looking at what they have already, like this is a dream Kai'Sa comp right from the get-go. You have Vi as well as Rumble. So Vi ults someone, as long as Rumble is even remotely close with his R, you can always go in and pop a target. So I definitely think that in the light of the composition, it makes sense. But I do think that when it comes to laning phase, it's not nearly the matchup that it once used to be. And Brion right now looking really solid here in the mid and AD carry department. So top lane still to be determined. I was actually, yeah, I think that makes sense, because a lot of the things you'd pair the Kai'Sa with are just anything that can proc Plasma, which definitely not going to feel too good if you end up playing that into a Karma and you don't find your early all-in.
It's a good point. See what the last ban is here on the side of OK Brion. I imagine Taliyah should be taken off the board. That's what I sort of feel.
Yeah, it's a little tough. I think Taliyah is a really good one. They are that is really interesting, and interesting is code for bad here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
I don't like it. I feel like the Taliyah is kind of
Morgan's Taliyah top lane. That's gonna be his response.
No, it's obviously Maokai top and then
got it.
Taliyah jungle. No, I don't know. We'll see what is picked up here for Palu. It's going to be instead keeping that support counter pick until the end. So they really value doing really well in this bot lane. And after the last time around, never mind. They're just going to go pick Alistar. Alistar's solid. I think Alistar also is not going to feel too bad into the Rel, which is most likely what they want to go towards.
I mean, Taliyah Rel and KT has the dream draft. That's what I'm assuming they're going to go for. Maybe not wanting to, I mean... Yeah, I think Nautilus is fine here too. A little bit more guaranteed lockdown. Shen. Obviously, it was Shen. Why did I assume that it was anything else other than Shen? Because he's been picked all of those 0 times.
Yeah, a bit silly on New Atlas. I know that there was a lot of Shen support that was being played recently. We did see this pick pop up in solo queue a good amount.
I have been recently watching a guy on YouTube that just plays Shen, and that was kind of fun. But he doesn't play it in the support, he plays it in top lane.
In theory as well, Shen into double AD carry should have a lot of value. Like realistically with his
circle.
Yeah, I
sword circle.
Call it like what's the? I guess just sword circle.
Yeah, sword circle is fine.
Well,
we're gonna lock that circle. One in. I did used to know all of his ability names, but I don't anymore.
This is a little bit underwhelming for an R5 pick, because you are going to get so bullied. And I imagine KT fans look at this composition and feel a whole lot better. You have insane amounts of aggressive power. You have the best top laner on the patch. You have a wonderful dive comp with a lot of upfront burst. And the OK Membro comp, I think, is fine, but it's the same issue. You're countered in top lane. You're countered in mid lane. And bot lane, I honestly don't know. I imagine that Deft and Barrow will do fine if they respect. Yep. Obviously, the early range of Ezreal is a bit tough, but Alistar is so weak level 1 in lane that I don't think it should be too big an issue. I think KT looking great here in this game number 2. And let's not forget to keep the perfect 7-7. 0 games, we're going to have to go to game 3.
Yep. And we'll just have to see whether KT can bring us there. I do really want to remember Shen's Q name, because it is in my brain somewhere. Might have to use the fan chance to just really rack the brain about it. Stand United's all you really need to know.
Yeah, I think the shroud is W, the sword.
Oh yeah,
sword circle.
The sword.
Q is when you pull
the blade. The 3 autos, right?
Yeah, when you pull the blade and when you get the empowered autos.
Yeah. Is that still called? Because like his passive was Key Strike as well. That was a fun one, but that was old Shen.
Well, we're gonna find out this game, because we're gonna see Shen support make its way back.
Very excited to see whether Beryl is going to be a genius or perhaps a fool in this one. As Bro 1-0. Let's hop up on the Rift.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, so I racked my brain, and while I was racking my brain, Ji-sun just told me what all of Shen's abilities were, which meant that my brain racking was very successful, because now I know everything. And it's kind of cute that Key Strike, that is what his passive used to be, is now just Key Barrier. They just decided that they didn't really mind about it. They're just gonna change that one over. But definitely, Spirit's Refuge is the most fun name of an ability. That is the circle, the sword circle. So Spirit's Refuge, I'm actually kind of okay with transitioning towards, because it is a bit of a refuge, you know, because you can't be hit by auto attacks, and that feels fantastic.
Especially against a team comp where every single player has a reason to try and auto you.
Yeah.
And, you know, normally you have some champions that really don't care. I think, obviously, Maokai is kind of a stretch, but even he wants to auto for his passive, and then I got 280 carries. Alistair wants to try and set up, man, his empowered autos and stun.
Shen really did need a rework, didn't he, when he got one? Because he had probably one of the most basic kits ever. Do you remember Feint? That used to be his W?
No.
Where it did, like, basically nothing at all, apart from give you a little shield. That was it.
Yeah, there's still a couple of kits in the game that we just kind of, you know, they're there, technically.
Oh, BDD going to cancel an auto there a little bit, but does find the auto into the queue. And Fate is, like, I mean, BDD's Lucian has been phenomenal so far this season. 7-3 is going to be its win rate as well. So we've seen it find a fair bit of success in the hands of Chovy and Zeka in particular. As far as our other Lucian players, the BDD has certainly been responsible for quite a few of the Lucian wins here in mid.
Fade definitely taking a bit of a beating here early on, as we can see. Do see that the last one to play, actually...
obviously, Lahens.
Yeah, that's not a shocker at all.
He was a huge fan of the Shen support. That was when he debuted, actually. Was sort of known as the Shen guy.
That was in spring playoffs of 2022.
Yep.
Which was...
that was back when Lahens was still allowed to have that one Shen game.
Why? Is he not anymore?
No. Have you seen it?
Well, no, but I guess he has just been playing very basic stuff.
Yep. You know, he used to be able to get like his one Singed game and his one Elise game as well. But we've also removed those.
Yeah, the only good thing about Yuumi being meta was Lahens playing Singed.
Yeah.
That was actually the only good chain effect of that.
And he was also the best Yuumi, which was the worst part.
Yeah.
He was sort of the offender and the only bastion of hope.
The only solution.
Yeah. As Young Jake getting to work on this Rift Scuttler, it's going to be a trade between the two of them. Some clears coming in from both of our junglers, and we'll see where everyone is going to go after this, as BDD is very, very pushed up. And he is now going to have to try and find a way away from Young Jay, and that is relentlessly pursuing over the wall and not even hit by the little alien, so he's just fine.
Actually, I'm not saying nothing about BDD. I think Youngjae was thinking to maybe go for a flash play, but I don't think they had any intel into where Pioshik would be, and if you flash and get caught in an early 2v2, you definitely don't win. The early damage from the Vi, definitely something to be respected. So, nicely done. As,
Beryl is shadow dashing in. Thanks Ji-sun and Yundo for letting us know. Shadow Dash, though, that one has not changed. It's Kayon as well, it's not Yundo. I keep crediting him for things that he doesn't do. And Beryl just now going to carry around his sword and stuff.
Yeah, maybe also a good idea. If you don't know what Shen does and you have, what is this champion? I mean, I think that's fair, you know. I assume there's a lot of viewers that have just never seen him, because why would you?
He does
not that popular.
Plonk, plonk, plonk. That is the gameplay.
Yeah, so you have a spirit sword, and if you pull that through someone when you press your Q, you do a lot of extra damage, which is cool.
Yeah.
Then wherever your sword is, you can press your W, and then you put down a puddle, which is like you know, like the Samira spin where you can't get hit by anything.
The Blade Whirl, yeah.
It's just
more like
those.
Counter-Strike.
Yeah, you're right, actually. But it's an AoE Counter-Strike, right? So that's cool.
Yep.
And then, as Alice was saying, his E is taunt. And then his ultimate, he TPs over the entire map and he gives a shield to someone.
Yep.
Which is very cool because it can mean he can make really cool side lane plays. And once upon a time, there was also the legend of River Shan, but that's best a tale that we should let rest.
I mean, it is still theoretically a thing. We just haven't seen it out in the wild for quite some time. So River Shan obviously still exists. It's just not often.
He's hiding in the shadows.
He's still in the river, in fact.
He's skulking.
Yeah, we'll see whether you know, Beryl has he taken water walking? Don't think so.
No,
he definitely has not, in fact, because I can see that it's Ferocity secondary. Very sad, but that's okay. KT have a slight gold advantage. It is going to be some grubs picked up on top of it, but the Bros getting to work on the Dragons. And it's going to be what they're taking down. Perfect with a whole massive minion wave here. Morgan misses out on a cannon and a melee. But because it's a cannon wave, he does actually manage to walk back to lane relatively unscathed. It's a 20 CS advantage, perfect playing the lane. To be expected, but also very well. You know, you have to credit a player for being able to utilize a counter pick, or well, I mean, it wasn't a counter pick, it was a first pick, just an overpowered pick, I guess, that another player opted into picking not a great matchup into.
Should have been cannon.
It should have been not Cassante. We've seen Cassantes get roasted by Rumbles too many times.
Yeah, I really have. So this is kind of the downside, which should have come as a surprise, but I think particularly on red side, getting counterpicked in 2 lanes feels really, really bad. And I know that they self-counterpicked in top, but it is a bit of a...
Yeah, having resulting lane matchup speed is really horrible when your red side is not great.
It's not ideal. And I do think you're hamstrung a little bit because of the power of some of the picks right now. Is Pioshik maybe in trouble?
Yeah, wants to try and get out of here, but there's an all-out from Morgan. And Nature's Grasp comes in, flash, and then the Vault Breaker. Beryl is in position. Can taunt them up if he needs to, but he might be sacrificing himself if he does so. The flash forward from Morgan, and there's the Shadow Dash, but Headbutt Pole will result in first blood going over to Fate with a cheeky rocket from downtown.
And it all starts with Pioshik not actually getting his Q over the wall.
Yeah.
That could have been the difference maker. Oh, trade back a plate. Not the end of the world for KT, but still nicely done there by Brion.
And Red Buff now on this Corki as well could really help him out.
Yeah.
As far as getting back into this lane, he was already 20 CS behind. So it's not going to alleviate the gold advantage that KT have put together, but first blood going to this Corki really will be helping Bro triage this problem that has been the early game.
See if that's enough to really turn the tides. And going for the PTA this time around makes sense into specifically that Kai'Sa as well.
Yep.
Trying to play for that burst. Although, of course, I have seen that PTA is just, in general, really good after the removal of lethal tempo. Even in longer trades. Yeah, Fate, at least for the duration of this red buff, will have a slightly better time in this counter matchup, but still not going to be great. And it also, as we see now, Morgan is still stuck in a 1v2, which he's not going to be able to do a whole lot in. Just needs to try and get as many creeps as he can, but...
Loads of plates going on over the KT here.
It's not his fault, like, it's just your Cassante.
Yeah.
So it's not that much you can do, and he does know this is happening, and he doesn't have flash. Does have reinforcements on the way.
Yeah, Plasma's stacked up, but his health bar is so low. Great Vault Breaker there from Pioshik just to make sure that he's definitely not going anywhere. And now with the 3 grubs that they've picked up, might be able to get some decent work onto this outer turret into the top lane, but there is reinforcements coming from the Bros. Not going to be able to lock that one down. We're going to go all the way back to this first blood, though, as Pioshik, like you just saw there, not able to actually get over the wall with the Vault Breaker.
Yeah, what I think happened is
Was he all-outed out of it?
I think it was just a W stun. So he tried to Q over the wall, and then the Q got interrupted.
Got it. That makes more sense.
So if he just flashes over the wall immediately, I think maybe he makes it out. Because there are actually a good amount of members in the area. I'm going to take a look here. Yeah, especially with a fully stacked passive. Like, he was just never going to make it out alive there. Beryl just ensuring that there's no Cassante shenanigans, because as you look at the minimap, you could see the bot lane on its way. So doesn't want to run the risk. Very straightforward. And with all that burst, And also the itemization, Morgan just goes down immediately. And now we see the gold lead getting even bigger for KT. I think KT, you know, they went back and the coaching stuff was like, guys, come on.
Yeah, don't be silly.
Tighten up. And they have. And now they have gold leads in every single league.
Yeah, I think the we mentioned before, and I think the space illustrated it quite nicely, that KT also had a slight draft advantage in game number 1. Not being able to quite utilize the Ezreal power though, and thus just sort of fell down to a much more high-tempo draft from Bro. This time around, KT have a way better draft, and they also have the high-tempo draft. And oh my god, Envy has to use his barrier just to eat through the equalizer, but it doesn't get a whole lot of value. And Pyosik is just dead again.
It's not a great day for Pyosik, Atlas.
It is not. It's also not a great day for KT's 5v5s.
Yeah, they have looked a little bit dicey. And we talk a lot about KT, and I still think they're in a really good spot as Envy.
Yeah.
Barrier.
So he actually didn't need the barrier last time. It was a different shield, I guess.
Yeah, as I was saying, the 5v5 of Brion remains strong. Like, they picked for 5v5 effectively, particularly with this Cassandra, with this Alistar. So their CC and their upfront damage in teamfights, I think, is actually very respectable.
And there's a Locket of the Iron Solari. I was actually wondering, like, that is a beautiful pickup from Youngjae.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. I think that Locket into Rumble, so good. So glad that we don't see Leandries or something of the sorts. Because as good as the composition from KT is, it is very much isolate individual target and blow them up.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that quite as easily, that is quite huge, as there is the Shen ult.
Stand United coming in there as Barrow looking for a taunt angle. Not quite able to get there. Pyosik going to step away from the dragon for the minute. And we'll now just head back. Barrel in hand. They should be able to lock this one down. Deft moving on in as well. We'll have the DPS to lock down the dragon.
Do note though, with Brion getting the early dragon, they can give up a good amount. There also might be a Chemtech here, which I think Chemtech, especially with Ivern coming back, we have actually seen increased value. And I'm going to be honest, Ocean here, it's great for Brion, but for KT it basically doesn't do anything. You're a dive comp, right? If it's Infernal and it helps you hit the breakpoints of 100 to 0ing a target, I think it's great. I don't think Brion really cares about it, so that even more lowers the incentive. That said, giving up too many plates and falling too far behind in gold is still going to be a recipe for disaster when it comes to Brion, so they do need to make sure that these turrets don't go down too early, as Envy goes for the ult on Deft.
Yeah.
And maybe throwing some of that into the wave could have been good as well, because again, don't want to give up too many of these plates.
Yeah, so he is going to be able to at least throw Qs in, but that's a very healthy siege minion. But it'll be fine. He'll be able to tank it up for a little bit there and save the turret. Too much hurt. BDD and Pyosik now towards this bottom side. Perfect just left alone to crush down this turret, and that should be all plates going over to KT in the top lane and first turret blood. That is very, very dangerous. There are a lot of members invested towards this bottom side for Bro as well, as we can see Youngjae and Polo in position. The barrel's there as well. Stand United still not off cooldown just yet, so BDD does need to be that little bit more careful. But with that turret falling down, I mean, Perfect is just so incredibly massive.
Yeah, for everything in this game, I think Brion do actually have a bit of an angle.
Oh, that's just cease and desist onto Envy. There are 4 members of Bro here, though. It's a trade of ultimates between the 2 junglers as a result. And Pyosik doesn't die this time, but Beryl eating honey fruit might be punished, but isn't going to be.
So in my first instinct is that there was definitely a fight angle there for Brion if they collapse onto Beryl. But the key thing here is that Perfect had TP and Morgan had not. So if they would have gone for that and the Rumble TPs in and lays down an equalizer right above that banana brush, you will get cooked. Yeah. So definitely made the right decision not to do so. I gotta say though, Brion, as long as they can keep the gold leads to around this point, they'll be. I think realistically though, that's not what's gonna happen. Perfect is sitting on Leandries as well as Sorkpan boots, which we're gonna be very happy about, obviously.
Yep. Beryl just standing around. That is a teleport in towards his bottom lane. Stand United going to be utilized once again, but they're going to try and blow up BDD as best they can. The culling onto Polu, though, and BDD not even dead yet. He finds a few autos. That's a double for KT in the bottom lane. Perfect taking a lot of damage. They do manage to take him out here as Beryl doesn't have damage himself. That's the Shadow Dash flash, and that was a weird thing to do, but it's fine because KT are also taking out a turret mid and probably the inner as well.
Looked good for a second there for Breon, but KT with the map play still get the better end of that trade. Still a little bit dicey there initially, but that's the power of the Shen support. You can be at any point of the map at any given time, and you can stall so much with your W, as well as just with the shield from your ultimate. And perfect, that TP we just talked about comes in clutch here. As we take another look, the big thing here is that they do have an earlier rotation on the AD carry, so we already have Envy on its way. But yeah, realistically, this is kind of tough, right? Polu can tank for so insanely long. And BDD, there just isn't that much damage, again, because Envy isn't there. Breon feel very priced into this, though, end up going very aggressively if like Envy maybe hits a W a little bit earlier. There's perfect.
Yeah, nice headbutt back onto Perfect. He's being thrown around like a rag doll. The Flame Spitter still getting a fair bit of work done, but Polu just soaks it up, and he'll be A-OK. They are punishing the Rumble here as he tries to get that juicy wave topside.
The gold lead is still there for KT, and they're going to get this this bot side outer as well, but Breon are trading up now slowly and steadily, and we're currently looking at a fed Fate and a fed Envy and 2 fed carries. When there's a Locket, it's definitely going to be something that's kind of tough to deal with. Envy.
Well, yeah, that is cease and desist once again coming in, and Envy going to have to flash. Beryl not finding the Shadow Dash there, so no taunt onto Envy, but he does have to use both of his summoner spells. And so that means next time, Pyosik should be able to find an angle.
Ooh, I'm not 100%. Obviously, in the long run, it's definitely going to be worth it. Right now, that's 2 ultimates gone here. No Deft, no Pyosik ults, which are really big. I wonder if Breon want to run the risk, and it looks like with this rotation, they're actually going to try and fight. And I think they have an opportunity. Yes, Envy doesn't have sums, but he is Ezreal, very safe generally. And that was a lot that was blown by KT in that fight just now. Well, setting up the wave here as well as Fate.
He teleported top lane at the same time, so he's going to try and put on as much pressure up there as he can. The Drake kind of just being left to the wayside. Neither team really too worried about an Ocean Soul. And so therefore, just getting onto this map, taking down turrets where they can, is going to be the option. BDD picks up the wave, though, as Pyosik Bolt breakers his way out. Envy taking a lot of damage from that Harpoon, though. This Rumble may have died in that last fight, but he is still extraordinarily powerful. Couple of masks now picked up. And all right, Pyosik almost with that ulti back.
Yeah, we're getting to the point where both Deft and Pyosik's ultimate will be about available, so not really a window there. I'm not sure about the decision to teleport towards the top side there from Breon / Fate. I think that there was a window there, but it is risky, right? And they can give up this Drake, so I don't think it's the end of the world, but they're not really getting anything out of investing a teleport. If you can, like, turn that shoved wave into some side lane pressure and then rotate over quickly, I think that could have been an angle, but not really going to lead to anything as we take another look at this. Yeah, perfect. He feels insanely strong, but definitely overestimates the numbers that they have. It's very straightforward. Then there's just the setup for the rest of the team.
Yeah.
He's still almost toast Polu.
And I think if Pyosik had have sort of invested into assisting him, it could have been a thing, but it would have been 2 versus 4, and likely Pyosik would just be dead again.
It would have been a 2-for-1 trade, I think. Deft might have joined, but I think at that point he was still level 10, so the range on Killer Instinct really isn't that big.
Yeah.
As we now have Pyosik on a very proactive angle here, trying to look for something. We'll see if they're actually going to play for it. Maybe Breon just decide not to play towards that top side. Doesn't look like it's the case. And we're going deep. That's a deep flank.
Yeah, Pyosik is now just going to back. And Fate does move on over. Yeah, he's seen on vision. Does come down through that Tri-Brush. So not going to be finding anyone. Does have that ulti ready, and that's why Pyosik is just happily looking for whatever he can find. And now Def just tidying up waves in the mid lane. He is ahead by about 15 CS or something like that, but the 3 kills going to really make Envy happy. Now does get the transformation, so that 2-item spike that we were talking about in game number 1 is going to be there here for Envy quite quickly in this one. 20 minutes ticking over, and the Ezreal is feeling strong. Still, Fate needs to get there, and I think the next dragon will be one that Bro will be very happy to fight for, because that is when these item spikes really are in there for this team. That's all right, KT looking to steal away a blue buff right as it ticks over 20 minutes as well. That feels pretty good if they're able to actually do so, and you can see Bro then not wanting to make that one happen. There is the flash forward as, all right, blue buff going to be secured here, and the Bramble Smash gets them out. And so KT, they're the ones with the blue, and Bro not quite able to start a fight that they were looking for.
Good call to disengage there. I think Brion also realized that they were fighting in the jungle against the Rumble. They get the TP, so TP for blue I think is not too bad a trade for Brion. Right now though, KT looking at the spikes that have been hit. We have Perfect sitting on the Rift Maker, so in longer fights going to be able to do even more damage.
The Battle Rumble.
Ginsu's done there as well. BDD also continuing, just now hitting Assassin's Reaver, probably going to go into Cleaver next. That has been the most popular build.
Yep, one that he has certainly liked. Don't know whether it's all of our most favorite, but certainly with Def there as well. We can follow up a little bit.
Pioshik just being a nuisance.
Yeah.
And for Brion, the main question is going to be, when we get to these fights, what is our target selection, right? Like, who do we try to kill? Obviously, Rumble is ideal, but you do need to be a little bit careful that definitely doesn't get too much space in the fight. And on the flip side for KT, I think target selection can actually be a bit rough because of how much disengage there is, right? And you can obviously layer Rumble on top of any Vial, and it'll probably kill the intended target. Same for Deft ulting in. But if you have your team get stuck and like someone gets dragged away by the Cassante, Paulo is able to headbutt someone away, and then you have Youngjae with his ultimate. Could be big as Paulo.
Oh dear. He just Hex flashed over. That is going to be a lot of damage onto the cow as the culling is blocked by Fate there a little bit. As Voidseeker could have killed him. Did have the Unbreakable Will running, so it might not have been a full death, but that is still now Paulo with not a lot of summoner spells and not a lot of health bar, and so he's going to be forced back home again. KT with a lot of map control. Not a whole lot to do with it. I don't think a Baron at 22 minutes is something that they're really strong enough for. As now Pioshik has found a cease and desist into the backline. There is a great equalizer this time around, but Youngjae gets on top of Perfect. Stance United invested onto the Rumble, and no one actually dead just yet. BDD dashing forward, but punished immediately. And Envy went down extraordinarily low. Had to use the barrier, but is going to survive.
That's exactly what we were talking about earlier, right? You see there, just the ultimate from Pioshik combined with an equalizer is enough to chunk any target, but that's, again, KT didn't actually get their target. So right now, I think Brion might be in a position where they can play for the second Drake. And the Gold League, yeah, it's like 3K, it's good, but it's not winning the game from the get-go. And I think KT's composition is a lot harder to play out, right? In a straight-up 5v5, because Brion have so much CC, so much frontline, and so much control. And their poke, obviously, as we see Envy sitting on 2 items, he has a BF sword. That's chunking.
I mean, this is mid-game Ezreal, who hadn't fallen behind, right? He's 3-0-1, and he's just soaking the pressure that KT are trying to put forward. Working out very, very well. True Shot Barrage going to connect onto BDD, a fair bit of damage there. And Bro can just move over and equalize the Drakes if they'd like to.
Fade also has now hit 10 stacks on his Jack of all trades with the Zeal finished. So he's feeling really strong as well. I haven't really talked about the Corki yet, but that's the other problem, is that if you go 2M on the Ezreal, you might get punished. I do think Brion should really play towards his Dragon, but they don't want to overinvest because they're afraid of a possible Baron play. That's a deep flank. Pioshik is just straight up going to get spotted. Oh, no, never mind. He is going all the way around.
Yeah, he is making sure that he avoids this vision, and now he's in the Raptor pit.
Oh, they have an
Oh, they have somewhat... No, they didn't spot him. And Pioshik's now going to be seen on the minion wave, as now KT in somewhat of a decent position, but Youngjae, great angle for Nature's Grasp. He's going to throw it in here as Beryl not quite in range. BDD able to move out of the way of the CC, and KT just moves towards the Dragon Pit. they will be able to stay out of trouble. But this is going to be Bro taking down this outer turret. The Dragon is secured in trade for that one. So KT now is sole point.
I think at least you try and force a summon. I'm not going to run the risk. There was a window there to at very least get a summoner or two, but instead it's going to be sole point. We see there the toughest part for Brion is actually ensuring that you get a good fight angle. They can't really funnel through either side of the jungle because of the fact that Rumble's there, so you just need to walk in through the river. KT get the first move, get the objective, but this is a very tense game, Atlas, and it's not really what we were expecting coming out, and I just think that Brion, they're holding on and just coming into that today's series. We said it partially as a joke, and partially because part of us...
Wait, you said it as a joke?
Well, you know I did.
Oh, it's weird.
Yeah.
No, this is just how it goes. Remember, you know, at one of the heights of Gen G when they were setting up for this dynasty.
Summer, the final series of Summer 2020.
The Bros just came in and said, you ain't that good.
And then they 2-0'd them.
They did.
And then Gen G still won playoffs, and it wasn't close.
But they couldn't beat Bro. That's the main thing. If Bro had been in the playoffs, danger. As now, the culling just coming in to soften up Morgan there. Does have a Rook Urn, so health bars are a bit confusing, but does take some damage.
Atlas posturing around Nash.
Yeah, quite a bit of posturing, as Beryl is going to take a rocket to the back of the head. Does have Shadow Dash, so he's able to get out of the way. And Stand United is going to be there, so if he does just want to go back home, join the rest of the team pretty quickly.
Any second now, Brion is going to start it.
Oh, yeah.
Force a summoner. There we go. They're doing it. They're starting it.
They see BDD on vision, and they immediately start up the Baron. We can see KT has no idea what's going on. They will now invest the Scryer. All right. As so now the teleport comes in. Yep.
Should probably dip Brion, but they're not gonna. They're using the Maokai ult.
Yeah, Perfect is going to come in as well. Gets a lot of damage, but it's still the Maokai that's able to lock down the Baron. Morgan is going to go all out, but he's now all out of the fight. If he's just the one sacrifice, though, that is very high value. The rest of Bro, they're not going to be able to make it all the way out just yet, though, as Dev, he wants the Killer Instinct in. He's able to deliver a Shen as well. And Polu, he'll be taken out also. 3 Barons for 2. Maybe you just take that. Maybe that's just fine.
That's 100% worth it for Brion.
Yeah.
Because not only do you still have it on free members, but most importantly, you also deny it from KT. KT now doesn't get to use that. And the one downside of KT, look at this. This is all very short-range stuff. Your longest range is either an Equalizer or a Lucian, who isn't known for his sieging. So we're just going to extend the game, and this Red Bull Baron power play slots perfectly into that next fight for Dragon.
Precisely. And yeah, it's going to be a negative as far as the amount of gold right now is concerned for that, but it doesn't actually matter. As BDD actually slowed down by the sapling meant that he couldn't follow up very quickly at all. So maybe that was part of the denial. Nicely played by Young Jay.
There was also a nice Q3 there from Morgan, knocking 2 people up. And then, unfortunately, the extended range of this composition, when it comes to engaging, is still really, really powerful. So you do see that they're able to pretty handily still get a bunch of exit kills.
Yep.
But again, I think you're not too sad about that. The downside is that because of those kills, actually offensively using your Baron buff isn't really a thing.
Yeah, but I mean, Bro, they're not very offensive. It's a lovely team. They are only going to be nice. And so it's not about the offensive plays. It's about just wandering through and convincing the Nexus to explode. And
they're basically the Ivern of... They're green!
100%!
Oh my god.
Yeah,
it was right in front of us all along.
We knew. It's all about wildlife conservation.
We're going to
But not Nexus conservation or turret conservation. Okay, they will definitely be taking those down.
Brion, you need to push hard. BDD doesn't have TP.
Yeah.
Like, you need to keep going.
And they are going to look to do that. Equalizer can be invested in this wave.
That's
it's not going to be enough. Yeah, Inhib's going to go down. And BDD is still coming back. Oh man, he could have even pushed forward and tried to get himself a inhibitor turret there, but he actually doesn't do so, so it's just a straight up trade.
Yeah, I think they didn't have that much sweeping done in the jungle behind them, so if they get flanked, you don't want to be the team that over pushes for an inhibitor and then loses from there. But this is a dead even Atlas. KT, they got to find a pick. I gotta find an individual target and blow him up in seconds.
Ocean Soul on the table as Morgan goes forward aggressively, utilizing that W. There's an equalizer thrown in, and he also gets CC'd. That's a lot of damage onto Morgan. No teleport to bring him back into a fight is now perfect. He has him in the banana brush, and there's the equalizer, but he hesitated for just that little bit. And that equalizer is not going to get the value that it really wanted. Pioshik is diving in to that backline as BDD is layering all the damage. They take down Def, but at what cost is BDD? He's also executed from this one. The only damage left is Perfect, who wants to turn it onto Envy, and he is still very, very big. But is he big enough to try and take these guys down? He has no flash. He's not getting out, and Morgan's going to get a triple kill. Did you believe in the 2-0, ladies and gentlemen?
Oh, we both know I didn't believe, Atlas. But right now, Breon at the very least gonna get the dragon. Okay, guys, if we rotate everyone over, we should at least get the inhib.
We get the multiple angles of Giga Bro Leaf coming through from Dagon here. It's fantastic to see. And I think we all kind of felt it in the air today.
I want to highlight here specifically as a dragon gets taken, so it's not as big of a win as it could have been for Breon, but a lot of damage gets thrown into Morgan. Barrel goes in really aggressively, so Morgan, the front line, is mostly taken out of the fight. What's crucial is watch what happens to Deft here, as Pioshik is very far away from this fight initially, but by the time he goes in, Deft has already been hit, and he just gets taken down. Envy actually with a really good aggressive flash, and then at this point, that's already one of the biggest damage sources gone, and Morgan actually has a ton of resistance at this point, right? So Perfect doesn't really fry him. Envy, I think, plays this fight on the edge really, really well after taking down Deft, and then they don't have the damage to chew through this front line. And Breon get the Ocean Drake, but what's more, I think these wins for the mental matter so much. Like the fact that you're winning 5v5s when you're already won game one in the stomp, and KT are so clearly the favorites. That's hard to deal with, Atlas.
Well, I mean, you say that they're clearly the favorites. I don't think that you know, many people expected them to actually win this series. They might be the favorites for getting to playoffs, but that's only because it's impossible for Bro to get to the playoffs. 3,000 gold is almost the lead for KT right now. And so they are still ahead, but that Ocean Soul was denied. Bit of extra time now for Bro. And the more tanky that Morgan gets, the more powerful Young Jay gets. And the fact that like Fate now has 4 items, there's 4 items on Envy as well. I mean, it's feeling more and more difficult because Bro's composition kind of just plays itself.
It really does. And at this point, we're getting also to the point in the game where GA's done for Fate, right? So he can play really aggressively, try to trade his life. Envy is sitting on the maul as well. And again, you have the Maokai ult. Like, if you're on the objective first, approaching is really, really tough.
Yeah, well, Beryl is going to find a Shadow Dash onto Morgan in that front line. The culling comes down. They keep the Baron leashed. As Deft is in trouble, he's just singled out and obliterated. This equalizer is a little bit better, but Envy is still alive. That Mora Malmortius doing absolute wonders. And KT are being torn to shreds. The Bramble comes down and smashes them, but BDD, he's dancing around the fight. It's now a 1v1, BDD versus Morgan and Fate. He'll come in so late to the fight after TPing back, and he will end the hopes for KT.
And I think that might be it, Atlas. The teleport is there for Morgan. And Fate, this is a Fed 80 carry. He's gonna shred for this in seconds.
And you might count out Bro when they are still within a shot of the playoffs, but once they are eliminated, once all of that pressure is removed, this is the scariest team in the LCK.
They still can't get
unless you're an inhibitor. Unless you're if you're an inhibitor, you're fine. You're safe.
So really, who saves this game is just BDD. Deft, unfortunately, not having the greatest day. Gets again clipped very early on here. Tries to use his ult to reposition, but it just isn't meant to be. And then that's, again, one of the biggest damage throws has gone immediately. They're not really able to get full value out of the Equalizer. Like, it burns a lot, but
yeah,
they don't
really
actually have a lot of people on top. And this is also a problem with the composition in here. If BDD doesn't do this, like, that would have been the end of it. And I think the fact that Fate teleported back in could have been the window where BDD, you know, gets an extra kill. That said, though, we're just going to get another fight. Now the gold team.
Yeah, they're just going to go back and do this again.
Oh my God, Envy. Look at that.
That's an pretty decent arm guard position.
Oh, Yoshi, anywhere near the pit. He has the blast cone.
And he doesn't actually use it to get over the wall. That is going to be the Baron secured here by Bro. They then dive on top of the Lucian, who is in just straight up the wrong position. Morgan is looking for depth as he's just supercharging away. It is now a 5 versus 4 in favor of Bro. They have the Baron. They have inhibited turrets removed.
Take the inhibs, Bro. You can do it.
I reckon they could just probably follow some minions there. They're pretty tough and strong minions now.
They could, Atlas, but they're going to do this textbook. We're not taking any risks. Everyone to the top lane. Yoshi pulling the wave, trying to deny, but there's a top wave.
And Equalizer is up and available, but these are Baron buff minions. I don't know whether that's going to stop any of them from just marching towards the Nexus. 2 inhibs now down, Bro, just with some time on these Nexus turrets. And did you predict it? Did you know what was happening? Bro taking down KT. As Beryl, he'll be cut up where he stands. Poet will die, but he doesn't mind about that one. Deft is on the fountain, nothing he can do. And the Nexus will go. Bro, 2-0 KT.
And coming into the day, we were joking about the possibility.
You were joking about the possibility.
I was joking about the possibility of a 2-1 victory. And instead, they 2-0. I need a moment to think who to vote for, because again, that was a total team effort.
Can you just throw a really big tick across the whole team?
Like everyone? Is it Maokai for pressing R? Like maybe. Is it?
I mean, Young Jae had a really good game. I think it could have been him.
You know what?
I think it could be anyone. Just make a choice so that
I'm making
so that
we're doing it.
Yeah, there we go.
We're putting it in. I don't know, but who cares? It's a Bro 2-0 Atlas.
That is the way. Look at Morgan, the Lord himself, showing us the name of the team. And the Bros really needed this. And it doesn't matter that they're out of contention for the playoffs. They were never going to be like the best team in the LCK. But they are definitely the best blue shell that we have ever seen in this league. And KT is going to have to really shape up. If they can beat Homolife Esports, but they can't take down Bro, then there are some consistency issues. And there is no two ways about it.
And I want to remind everyone that there is a very realistic world where either KT or BNK still gets overtaken by Kwangdong. And coming into the week, you know, Kwangdong obviously aren't looking too hot, but say that Kwangdong take a decisive victory over Nongshim.
Yeah, I think we need to watch that series before we start drawing any conclusions.
No. But I just want to say, the fact that it's a possibility, just as KT loses 2-0 to Breon, that's keeping the playoffs race spicy, Atlas.
Oh, it really is. There is a serious battle going on between especially Kwangdong, KT, and BNK.
Oh, yeah.
But there is that dark horse, you know? If Nongshim, if the Noodle Boys are able to do it, this is such an important match that's coming up against Kwangdong, because that's one of their direct competitors for those last playoff spots. And when it's the bottom 2 spots that we're seeing fought over, that's the most fun, because we've seen so many seasons where it's been just that last playoff spot that is kind of the battle. Everything else is sort of locked in. This is not the case. It's the bottom 2 spots that we're still looking to try and fill. Man,
I'm
the Bros
just
gobsmacked, right?
So on one hand, all the credit to Breon, right? Like they played, especially I think this second game, I think KT was very clearly shaken. I think Breon had really good team fighting, which is something that we haven't even seen that much of them. I think even though team fighting, which used to be a big strength, has kind of fallen by the wayside. But I think since Fate's come in, they've been able to kind of tighten that up. But that first game, it blew me away, Atlas, because it went against so much of what we've seen from this team. The fact that they were able to execute a composition that requires...
Leave your assumptions at the door when it comes to Bro, okay?
No, but Atlas, I'm an analyst. I
know, that's why you don't like Bro very much. Because also leave your analysis at the door, Chronicler.
It's
just about having a good time and having faith. You know,
I'm not good at it, Atlas.
Your science does not belong here. Okay?
This is a realm of mysticism and belief.
All you have to do is trust in the bros, and sometimes you won't be sad. And most of the time you will.
Slowly, slowly, they say.
Yeah, look, they were looking for the turret, then they decided, no, we are fighting. And I think just ending the game would be a good idea here. Nexus, says Young James.
And Envy's like they're saying Nexus, Envy's like, I'm eating into people. Yeah. That's two of them, I'm gonna take him.
Oh man, Perfect did a lot of damage, it did not matter. That is Ezreal losing in the hands of KT, and then Rumble immediately afterwards losing in the hands of KT.
You know how we've before said that you can't take any stats seriously when it's Gen G because they're too good? I know KT draft is safe. Not in a good way, not in a bad way. We don't know. We just don't know.
I kind of think that if they had have gone for the Shyvana attempt, it might have been better than whatever this was.
That was what they needed today.
Yeah. What a day. What an incredible start. We've still got one more series to go of this week as well, and we have no idea what's going to happen. But what I do know is going to happen now is I'm going to throw it over to the space. They're going to break it down.
2024 LCK Summer OK
Thank you very much, guys. This is Susan for the POG interview translation, joined by the Bros after taking down KT Roaster with a perfect 2-0 victory. Congratulations. We are here joined by Faith and Morgan, the POGs on the side of OK Savings Bank, Brian. Oh, what an upset up against KT Roaster. How do you feel? So, right after I joined in the second round robin, I got a win, and then we were on a losing streak. So today, when I was coming to Lowell Park, I was like, I wish I can get another victory. And then we got a 2-0 win, so it feels absolutely fantastic. Morgan, it's been a while since we've seen you in the interview stage. This is your first POG of the summer. How do you feel? Yeah, it's been a very long while. I'm so glad that I finally am doing an interview after that POG performance. So OK Savings Bank Brian defeated KT, who defeated Hana live with a clean 2-0 victory. It's been a year since you last won with a 2-0 score. What do you think was the key to this win today? So today we were approaching the game with a kind of a wider perspective. You know, we wanted to make a plan for the game as a whole, and I think it worked so well. Game number 1, so Bro picked Renekton as the first pick, followed by LeBlanc and Viego to support him. I think the draft was excellent. Was it your suggestion to play LeBlanc into enemy's Lee Sin? We had several options, but I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna play LeBlanc. And Fate. So you showed a phenomenal performance with your signature pick LeBlanc, making crucial plays for the team's operations. So did you intend to play a role that supports and kind of empowers your team? I don't think it's about the LeBlanc pick, you know. I think it's just the way I kind of approach my role as a Bro member. I just want to kind of support my team to function better as a whole team. The Fate, with you gathering up, you were able to push the enemy away, and later on, you guys even won out the team fight very big. So we were, I mean, the numbers doesn't really show that we are having a lead, but I was kind of aware that we are going to be having the control when it comes to a skirmish or a team fight. And then Morgan also told us, you know, he's pretty fed and it's kind of his power spike. So I think the follow-up coming from my team team was also excellent. Then Morgan in game 2. The enemy brought out Shen after a very long time. Did you anticipate this? So throughout the pick and ban phase, we had no idea that they would actually lock in Shen. Then what was your reaction? So I was actually having the last pick card, so I was trying to just see what I can lock in order to round out our team's comp, and I thought I should be playing something tanky, something reliable to support my team, and Cassante was the one. And in game 2, you truly were the Lord Morgan. You let them pick Rumble and then countered with Cassante successfully. So I think enemies comp kind of would love. I could tell that they would love to make a play early on to accelerate either one of their laners. So Cassante definitely is a pick that kind of absorbed the pressure. Of course, the laning phase is not easy for him, but still, as long as you get through that, I think he can do a lot of work. Now let's take a look at this replay. You were taking all the callings and then Bro turned the fight around. So enemy kind of was doing a great job of punishing my position and the lack of critical skills and summoners I had. So I think they opened up the team fight really well, but also the follow-up coming from our team allowed us to turn the fight around. So I just want to say thank you so much to all my brothers. Especially Fates, he was the main shot caller and he helped us kind of organize around team fights. And Fates, at the end of the first game, we were able to have a listening to the player comms, and you were kind of sternly directing your teammates and passionately giving feedback in the coaching booth as well. It seems like you play a significant role in your team. What role do you see yourself playing in the team right now? Well, usually, because we have coaching staff and strategy coach, I rely on them to give us coachings and advices. But in game-wise, I try to be the one that leads the team. Morgan, what do you think about that? Oh yeah, he's doing a fantastic job leading our team. Sometimes he's a little bit, strict, but still I think it's helping us so much. Although the chances of Bro making it into the playoffs is gone, you still need to show good performance in the remaining matches. What are your resolutions for the rest of the summer season? Finally, a 2-0 win after a whole year, so it means a lot to me. I'm glad that we were able to bring joy to the fans, and sadly, we cannot make it to the playoffs, but still, I just want to make sure that we are developing and stepping up until the very end of the season. I mean, it might sound repetitive, but I really mean it. I want to make sure that we win as many matches as possible in order to bring as much as joy to the fans. And that will be the end of the interview from Morgan Fate, and back to the space. Thank you.